Should I stuff all these beads inside this bead cone? Hello, welcome, my name's Carol. Today I'm going to be using lots of strands of blue and white and crystal beads, and I'm going to twist them into an ombre effect twisted necklace. I've got some bead cones and I'm going to try and stuff all those strands of beads into this bead cone. So if you want to see me do that, keep watching. I'm going to walk you step by step through the process of making this necklace. As well as that, I will talk about everything you need, and in the description box below, the top link is a link to a blog post, and that will set out everything you need, links, all of that, numbers, all of that stuff. So let's get making. I've already strung my beads onto my tiger tail to save time, but I will talk you through exactly what I've done. So I started off with some 8mm glass drucks, and these ones are in the colour white opal. Then I have some 6mm glass pearls, and they are white, but don't they look quite cream next to the white opal check glass beads. Next I've got a multicoloured strand, so I've got some 6mm faceted glass beads. These ones are clear and they have an AB finish. And I've also got some 4mm faceted glass beads, and these ones are in the colour metallic blue. Next I have some 3mm glass bicones in the colour indigo light. Next I have that same faceted glass bead as this one, but the colour is light blue. I've got some more bicones, this time the colour is blue opal. Next I've got some more of the 3mm glass bicones, and this one is cobalt. This one here is a strand of 5x3mm glass faceted rondelles, and they have an AB finish, and the colour is just stunning. It's called navy. And lastly, I have one more strand of the 4mm glass faceted metallic blue beads. When I was stringing these up and playing with the colours, what I found was, without this one here, it was okay. But once I added this one, it just blew my mind how amazing it looked. So I'm really pleased that I chose this nice dark one with the really lights. It just was that finishing touch. So what I've done here is I have strung them all onto a piece of 3.8mm tiger tail. And as you can see, I've got a bead stopper on each end. Now you do not need to use bead stoppers if you don't have them. What you can do is just put a bead on, put your tiger tail up through the bead and down and around and up through the bead again, and that will stop the beads falling off. But if you do have access to bead stoppers, they are amazing. Now I've used 8 here. You could actually put multiple strands into one bead stopper. That's fine. I just wanted to show you this all laid out nice and neatly. Okay, so as well as my beads, I'll just move them down here out of the way. I also have my bead cones. These ones are 13mm by 10, and they are filigree. They are beautiful, and I've got 2 of those. I've got some crimp tubes. I have a piece of 20 gauge wire. I've got a clasp, it's a 12mm lobster clasp. I've got a 6mm jump ring, and I've got a 4mm jump ring. And I also have some chain to do the finishing part. Now I don't know how much of the chain I'm going to use yet. We'll figure that out as we go along. So the first thing I need to do is put the crimps onto each end of my strands. Now I'm going to take a crimp tube, and I'm going to take my bead stopper off and feed my crimp tube onto my tiger tail. This is actually a really good project for learning how to crimp. It's not a hard project, it's just a little bit fiddly when you attach all the strands. So now normally I would attach this to a jump ring, feed the jump ring through or something, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm actually doing this in the same way that I did my twisted earrings. And if you haven't seen that one, I will leave you a link in the description box for that. So I'm going to put my tiger tail back through my crimp tube. And I'm going to pull my crimp tube up but I want to be careful not to pull it all the way through. So I'm going to take my piece of wire and just stuff it in there for a minute, because eventually its home will be on this piece of wire. And I'm going to pull it up so that it's not too tight. I don't want it to be too tight, but I don't want it to be too loose either, because as I said, I've got a lot of pieces going into one spot. But you need to be able to put your wire in and out of there, like that. So now that I've done that, I'm going to take my Zero-Iron crimping pliers, and no, if you've been watching, you know that I love my magical crimping pliers, but my Zero-Iron crimping pliers make a smaller crimp, so I'm going to be doing that today. So I'm just going to pop it in the back there and crimp it, and then I'm going to turn it and crimp it at the front. Now the reason I'm not using my magical crimping pliers is because it leaves the crimp quite large, and I've got so much stuff I'm putting in here. I want it all to be as small as possible. Now I'm going to put that end through one of my beads, and I'm going to feed my bead up like that. Now I'm going to trim off my end. Then I'm going to run all of my beads down to the other end. So there it is, crimped. And I want to repeat that for this end. It's a little bit different doing the second end, so I'll walk you through that one as well, and then I'll go off and do the others. So just taking my crimp tube, running that down and popping it over my piece of wire, back down through my crimp tube and through my first bead. Doesn't want to go through. Okay. And now you just want to pull everything up. And if you find that you can't pull it anymore, like I'm stuck, just pull your crimp tube down and everything else will move. And you might have to do that several times. When you're stringing a necklace, you want to make sure that you still have enough room so that your piece moves freely. Now I'm going to crimp it. And I'm going to cut off my excess. Get right in there with my pliers, with my cutters. Sometimes I find if I can't cut it, I actually kind of bend it over, and that allows you to get right in there. Now I have both ends crimped. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of my 9 strands, or my 8 other strands, and I will come back when I've done that. Whew, I got hot doing that, I had to take my jacket off. If you're interested in making the jewellery that I'm wearing today, I'll leave you some links in the description box below for the tutorials for these. I'm wearing my heart and cage necklace. In that tutorial I talked about design and using shape and texture, and I'm also wearing my, what are these called, chandelier earrings. So I'll leave you links for those 2 tutorials in the description box below. So now I have all of my strands with their crimp beads on, and I need to decide what order I'm going to put them on in. And I actually quite like this order. The only thing I'm thinking about is, do I want this one here, this aqua coloured one there, or do I want it there? And to be honest, it's not really going to make that much difference in the grand scheme of things. So next, what we're going to do is take our little piece of wire and we're going to make a loop. Oh, by the way, when you're stringing, make sure you don't mix up your crimping pliers and your cutters, because if you go to crimp with your cutters, it'll be disaster. Just a little tip. I didn't do it myself, but I did think about it. I picked them up and I was like, oh no, those aren't the right tools. Right, so I'm going to trim the nearest tip off the end of my wire to make a flush cut, so that it's not a pointy cut. And then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to make a bend in my wire. So what the purpose is here, I need a loop that's going to go up inside my cone and all of my strands are going to connect to it. So it needs to be a reasonably sized loop. I don't want it to be too small, but I don't want it to be too large either, because otherwise if it's too large, it'll hang too far down here and then you'll seal the crimp. So I don't want that either. So probably about, I'm going to go use about 1 centimetre, I think. So I've got my wire there and I'm going to make a bend in my wire. And this is a 20 gauge half hard German style wire, silver plated. Now I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to make my loop. Now if you haven't made loops before, I'll leave you a link in the description box below to a video all about how to make loops. If you have made loops before and you have trouble, then watch that video as well, because I do a whole lot of troubleshooting at the end of it. So I'm just going to take the wire between the jaws of my pliers, make sure it's not sticking up, and I'm going to make a loop. So there is my loop. Now I'm going to put all of these things onto this loop. So let's see if we can fit 9 strands of beads inside a bead cap or a bead cone. Now what I'm going to do is hold it on the side with my pliers and I'm going to twist my hand down, pushing the loop up. So it's important to open the loop that way so that it doesn't lose its shape. And I'm going to start off by putting all of these strands onto this loop, which is why I used the wire as a guide to make sure that the strands, the holes or the loops in the tiger tail were about the right size. Now my loop may not be big enough, we'll see. That one's quite small, but it will go on. Some of them are bigger than others, but that's okay. Handmade is not supposed to be perfect. Oh, it's getting close. I'm not sure I'm going to fit. Oops, that one fell off. And I think my loop might be a little small, but we'll see. My white one's escaped. Right, whoops. Push one down and the other one pops off. All right, so can you see it? I've got all of them on there, but I don't think I'm going to be able to close it. Let's have a look. Just taking my pliers. It's just a matter of moving them out of the way. So now I have all of those beads, all of those strands going into that one loop. And it's not too heavy. I was concerned that it might be too heavy and that the loop might fail, but I don't think it will. I think it's actually pretty good. Now we want to put our wire up through our bead cone and pull it down as far as we can. So that's what I've got now. Now ideally it will hide all of those crimps. It's not going to, simply because some of them are longer than others, but it's going to enough that you really won't see them. Now I'm going to bend my wire over at the top there, just like that. Now I'm going to trim off my excess wire, so cutting it down to about 1 centimetre from the bend, and I'm going to make another loop. Oops, I've got new pliers, they're a little slippery. Sometimes the good old faithfuls are actually way better than the new ones. So there's my loop and all of my strands. Now I need to repeat that for the other side, but before I do that I need to do the twisting. So you don't want to just pick it up and twist it like this, because if you twist it like this it will come undone. So what you need to do is actually twist the strands within the twist, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take my 3 white-ish strands and my 3 light blue strands and my 3 dark blue. And I'm going to give those a twist first. Just pop them down there. Might put my pliers on them to stop them untwisting. And then I'm going to do these ones. Now it's a matter of just playing with it to get it right. All right, now that I've done that, I'm going to twist all of my strands together. I know it seems like I'm just twisting this end, but I'm going to just keep working them until they look right. So you're kind of almost plaiting it, but not really. So that's what I've got. And that actually looks quite good. It's going to stay twisted, maybe one more twist, but it's going to stay twisted and it's just enough. So now I just need to do exactly the same thing on this end that I did on this end. So I'm just going to put those down and put my pliers on there so it won't run away. And I'm going to get my wire, which has disappeared, there we go, and cut a nice flat cut. And using my other pair of chain nose pliers, I'm going to make a bend at about 1 centimetre or so and make a loop. Actually, that's a bit long. Make sure when you're cutting you protect it so it doesn't fly away and hit you in the eye. That's why I wear glasses. No, it's not really. I wear glasses because I can't see. But maybe if you don't wear glasses, it might be a good idea to wear some protective ones. So there's my loop. Now I've got to open it and I've got to fit all of these strands in. So let's see how we do. And remember that you need to put them on in the order that they are appearing, otherwise the order will be different. It's not such a big deal with this one. Honestly, you can mix them up and do whatever you like. I quite like them that the blue ones are, the dark blue ones are interspersed amongst the other beads. So I'm going to start off with this one. Now you can actually move them up onto this part of the wire, oops, while you're putting them all on, as long as you push them back down before you close the loop. Will just give you a little bit more room to work with. It's quite hard to show you this because every time I go to show you they pop off, but there we go. That's what I have now, and I need to push them all down inside the loop and close it. So just doing that, grabbing it on the side and closing it up. Just like I did with the other one. Just make sure it's really well closed though. So there we go. Now we're going to repeat that same process by putting the wire up through the bead cone. Just before I do that, I just want to check that I'm happy with the twists and things, because I can always take it off and do it again at this point if I want to. So it seems to me to be more twisted at one end than the other, but if I wiggle it around a bit, there we go. Next, I need to make my bend, so pushing my bead cone right down as far as it'll go and making my bend and trimming off my wire. And now I'm going to make a loop just like I did before. That's too big. I don't seem to be able to get my cutting right today. So there's both ends done together. Now I need to decide whereabouts on my neck I want it to sit and decide how much chain I need. I'm going to put it on and then I'm going to hold my finger there, take my tape measure and measure to the back. And it is 7 centimetres. Now I do need to remember that when I add the clasp, it will add about 1 centimetre or so. And if you don't know how to work that out, I'll leave you a link in the description box for a video on how to measure your clasp to make things fit perfectly. So I've got 7 plus 7, so I've got 14 centimetres of chain, and I need to decide, I need to take off 1 centimetre or so for my clasp, so that means that each side piece should be about 6.5 centimetres, which is, it's about 2.5 inches. The decision I need to make first though is, do I want to attach this chain with a jump ring, or do I want to just put the chain onto my loop? And I think for ease sake, I think I might just use a jump ring, because that loop is going to be really hard to open. So I'm going to use a 6mm jump ring. I need to cut my chain first, don't I? Ah, silly. This is a stainless steel chain, and I find it difficult to cut stainless steel, so I actually use my memory wire cutters to cut this because they're made to cut really hard wire. So I'm going to measure it on with my ruler here, and I want it to be 6.5 centimetres. So I'll cut it on that link there. And then I want to, let's take that one off. And then I want to cut another piece exactly the same length. Now, if I wanted to put an extender on, I could cut another piece of chain and do that as well, but I'm not going to with this particular necklace. I'm going to open my jump ring. That one's already open. We'll use this one. So what I do to open my jump ring is I hold it on either side with my pliers and twist. Now, if you haven't opened jump rings before or used them before, I will leave you a link in the description box below for a video tutorial on how to do that. So now I'm going to put on my chain, so taking the open jump ring and the end link of the chain and popping it on. And then I'm going to put on the loop of my main piece here, and I'm going to close up my jump ring. Now, if you were worried about this jump ring holding, you could do one of two things. A, you could add 2 jump rings and that would make it nice and firm, or B, you could add an oval jump ring where the split's on the side, and sometimes oval jump rings are stronger than round ones. I'm not going to do either of those because I think this is going to hold. So that is what I have now, and then I just want to repeat that for the other end. Now we want to test. I think it's about right, but I've got the chain meeting, and so if I add a clasp to that, it may be a little bit long. So I think I'm going to cut a couple of links off either end before I add my clasp. So taking my memory wire cutters again, and I think I'll just take 3 links off. Okay, now I'm going to attach my clasp. So I'm going to take a 4mm jump ring this time. Now personally, I prefer to attach my clasp with a 4mm jump ring. I think it looks nicer, but if you want to use a 6mm, that's fine, you do you, I don't mind. I am really grateful to everyone who's subscribed recently, and if you would like to see more of my tutorials, remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also give me that thumbs up if you're enjoying this one. Also, I have a newsletter that goes out when I post a tutorial, so if you would like to sign up for that, you can go to our website and the link will be in the description box below, and just join up there, and that way you'll never miss anything. And the final way you can see more of me is to join our private membership group here on YouTube, and if you would like to do that, you can hit the join button down below. All right, now getting back to the necklace after all those public announcements. All right, so I'm going to take my 4mm jump ring, and I'm going to open it and pop on the loop of my clasp and my end link of my chain, and I'm going to close it up. There we go, that's what that looks like. And now all that's left to do is to pop on a 6mm jump ring for the clasp to do up into. So just taking my jump ring and opening it, and feeding on the last link of the chain and closing my jump ring. So there's the necklace on. Goes really well with my top that I'm wearing today. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Remember to check out the links in the description box below. There is the link to the blog post, that's the first one. There will be links to the jewellery that my earrings and the necklace I was wearing, and there'll also be links to some useful tips as well, and also a link to those twisted earrings that I did a few weeks ago. Thank you so much for watching today. Remember to check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again soon.